And on this show, we highlight the ingenuity of Liberians in and out of Liberia by sharing their successes, challenges, entrepreneur endeavors, and much more with the intent to inspire other upcoming changemakers. The 1847 show also promotes the Liberian culture by creating a space for individuals to learn the history of our nation, to find solutions to problems that affect our country today. For this and much more, stay tuned for all things Liberian. We'll be right back after this short break.
Hello, my name is Grace Joma Baba, founder of Destiny Creative Organization and owner at Janice's Snacks. You are watching the 1847 show. The 1847 show celebrates you, me, and all things Liberian. Follow the 1847 show on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. The 1847 show, all things Liberian.
We at Peace TV help your loved ones and friends to see features of your programs on all social media platforms. Our services are of good qualities and very affordable. We render the following services: still pictures, video promotion, talk show hosting, live wedding coverage, funeral services, and so much more. So what are you waiting for? Book us today and have a memorable experience.
Hello, my name is Grace Joma Baba, founder of Destiny Creative Organization and owner at Janice's Snacks. You are watching the 1847 show. The 1847 show celebrates you, me, and all things Liberian. Follow the 1847 show on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. The 1847 show, all things Liberian.
Hey, welcome back. You're watching the 1847 show, and this is season 1, series 2, episode 7, which is part of our series called Digitalized Liberia. This series highlights individuals solving real problems by integrating technological solutions to make Liberia a digitalized nation. Digitalizing Liberia could mean better data transparency as technology provides access to information which could aid against corruption, improve health and educational facilities, deliver efficient agricultural practices that could yield higher crops production, amongst many other advantages. Our guest today is Mr. Willie B. Tingba, who is the CEO and president of Mensona IT Solutions Group and founder of the Liberia Information Technology Student Union. He is on a mission to bridge the digital gap that exists in Liberia and help put our nation on par technologically with other developed countries. We're going to welcome our guest here, but before we start talking all things Liberian, don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and comment on the stream to stay engaged. And we'll welcome Mr. Willie Tingba. How are you today, sir?
Thank you. I'm doing fine. What about you?
I'm doing good as well. I'm doing good. Anything you would like to say before we get started?
No, basically nothing, and just open up to questions.
Awesome, awesome. So we'll go ahead and just share some of our guest comments here. And if you're watching, please go ahead and follow the show We'll share the comments just so you know that people are engaged, and then we'll go into the questions. So we have Eni said, this is awesome. So thank you, Eni, for commenting. Please don't forget to follow the show. And then we'll also have Louis Massaquet. I'm following from Ghana. So thank you, Louis, for following. And then we have Ambassador Edmund also commented, saying, congratulations, Mr. Willie D. Tingba. So you have people following you as well. And then Daniel Abaka watching. So thank you guys for following. Please don't forget to follow the show for, all things Liberian. And then to you, Mr. Tingba, we're going to go right into the question. So you mentioned in your interview questionnaire that you want to help Liberia find answers to some of the challenges that we face technologically, right? Why have you taken on such a challenge?
What's the question again?
So you mentioned in your interview questionnaire that you wanted to help Liberia with some of our technological problems. So why have you
Of course.
personally taken on that challenge, and why do you feel obligated to be the person finding answers to these things?
So basically, what I've learned over the time, or what is glaring, is that the world we live in, the world has changed, and the world didn't change because of the traditional way of doing things, but the world had changed because of the emergence of information communication technology. Mayu actually goes across every sector of our knowledge-based economy. For every nation that have made significant progress, they have made significant progress through the integration of information communication technology. So it was based upon this backdrop back then in 2014 when I was still in college doing my undergraduate program. I decided to establish the Liberia Information Technology Students Union, or students organization that is devoted exclusively to the needs of technology education in Liberia. Basically, the institution was established to bring ICT students from various ICT institutions to see how best we can brainstorm and bring solutions to some of the factors we find within our country, ranging from the health sector, where we talk about telemedicine, ranging from the health sector, the financial sector, and every other sector. So through that, we advocated for the involvement of girls into IT. Mind you, in Liberia, will have limited amount of females that find interest because the field that the IT field is only belongs to the male sector. So these are some of the things that encourage us to get into the field to see how best Liberia can get transformed through technology.
Awesome, awesome. So you're currently obtaining your master's in Cyprus, studying information systems engineering and innovation and knowledge management. How do you plan to utilize this knowledge in Liberia or outside of Liberia? How do you plan to apply it to what you're already doing?
Oh, basically, when I was in Liberia, I had myself engaged in capacity building initiatives, wherein I lecture at the Bluegrass University. I taught about 5 courses there, and also got involved with initiative that has to do with IT, basically from the aspect of digital literacy training, because we have people in Liberia with very limited understanding when it comes to IT. It will interest you to know that there will be a person that graduate with a bachelor's degree in or accounting, but they do not have basic understanding in Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. There'll be someone that graduate with a degree in agriculture, but do not have basic skills in ICT. So upon graduation with a master's in innovation and knowledge management, we intend to establish or short-term training programs wherein we can provide training services to the middle income people and the less fortunate for a little amount of money, because mind you, the world we live in now, like I said earlier, the world has changed, and people now are not traditional work working now is not no more in place. Man, you have artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence going to get people out of the market. So how prepared are we? So if people do not have these basic skills, end of the day, we will continue to explain or experience the same problem that our nation is being faced with today.
So what I hear is that very knowledge is going to come back to Liberia and benefit the Liberian people, people who are from, maybe disadvantaged backgrounds. That's awesome. So like like we mentioned, you're a full-time student, you run your business. You have several other engagements. How are you able to manage all these engagements effectively? What do you do to keep yourself, on top of things?
So I work with a team, and we have a team, and each and every member of our team has their role and responsibility. So I place the managerial role within the team, and also with the issue of my studies, I have a timetable that I go about with, and basically we I understand time management. I work along with that.
Awesome. Awesome. Time management, a very key factor into being successful, right? Utilizing time and knowing how to use it properly. So, how does it feel being the first ever founder of Liberia's first IT student union? Because a lot of times when you hear about these student unions, like the Linsu, these are things that were founded before some of us were even born. So, how does it feel being a living legend to found something that is very much needed in the society? How do you go about feeling?
So I feel excited about it. What mostly brings excitement to me is not about funding the institution, but what brings excitement to me is that seeing people that came from under the institution are making significant impact across Liberia. So there are so many young people that we got then at the time under the root of Lesu. They are making significant progress in Liberia. We now have the former vice president then. She works with WAEC. We have some of our students that we mentor. Some of them are Stella Mentor. We have two persons at Stella Mentor. We have some with the government Liberia through these various ministries. So I feel excited to see people that we mentor, people that we provide internship for on the embryo of the institution are helping to bring progress to the development of Liberia. So that alone brings excitement to me.
Awesome. So, why do you think it was necessary to maybe not make Litsu a part of Linsu, but making it its own separate body? Why do you think that was necessary?
Because Lensu work directly with Lensu because Lensu is the model organization for every other IT or every other Liberian students organization across Liberia. But basically, we are technocrat, we are problem solvers. So we sit afar, identify the problem, and provide solutions to the problem. That's the reason why we chose not to go on Lensu directly on our office, but we work with them. And at times we send our team over for initiatives, and you just did that.
Nice, awesome. So I'm unsure where to get a copy of your book, Internet and Technology: Tools for Liberia's Development. Can you maybe tell us a bit about your book and also where can people buy these if they're out of Liberia by chance?
Okay, so the book titled ICT Tools for Liberia's Development is a project that addresses every sector of our country, Liberia, ranging from the agricultural sector, the financial sector, the health sector, let's say every other sector. So we understand that nowadays the world has changed, and how can we allow technology to Liberia's development? One from the health sector, we talk about telemedicine in our book, and then for the educational sector, I talked about e-learning because nowadays with the access of internet, there are people who learning remotely. You can sit at your home and learn. How many universities in Liberia have e-learning initiatives? I remember back in 2020 when we experienced the COVID-19, people said they were offering e-learning which system were they using? Most of them were using Zoom or Google Meet. But if we can have an integrated system wherein I can sit on my phone in Place Sobe or Yahweh Mesnon District and learn at my own speed as any other university in Liberia. This is the Liberia we are requesting for. This is a Liberia I'm talking about wherein government official can be accountable to citizens. There is no need to have or report being made. You have an electronic system that can track every other government official progress. So this book addresses all of these issues. We talk about alarming farmer to consumer, e-agro. So And this book is currently in Ghana. We It's currently in Ghana for printing purpose, and hopefully by September we should be in Liberia to have it officially launched. And before September, it will be placed on Amazon, and every other detail will be shared. But the book actually address every sector of our knowledge-based economy. And at the end of the back of this book, I recognize key players, people who have made significant strides in Liberia, with the like of Dr. Darren Wilkins. Dr. Darren Wilkins was the first person who wrote a book titled Digital Liberia. He then served as the former the theoretical boss. We recognize Latin Deton, who is the proprietor of STARS College of Science and Technology. He's the very first person that started offering IT BSc degree in Liberia, and one of those first people that brought about IT in Liberia. We talk about Mayuri. Mayuri was the very first person to serve as the ISP in Liberia, Internet Service Provider. We recognize a few permanent people that are making significant progress with the team from Montana. If you understand now, you as students do not know more protests because you have the issue of online registration system. Back then, students used to take about 1 month before a course can be planned. But through the involvement of Montana and the government library, you now have online registration system where students can register today and have access to that question today. This is a library that we are requesting. Thank you.
That's awesome, man. So you mentioned a couple of prominent people. Were any of these people, by any chance, collaborated with you to write a piece of the book? Maybe since they were maybe much more of a subject matter expert in those topics, did anyone collaborate with you?
Yeah, so sometime in 2018, I contacted her, Madam Mayure, and we both met at Mama Point Hotel, where she shared some of her stories about the coming of internet in Liberia. She shared with me some document and some of the initiatives she wanted to Dr. Darren Wilkins, who and having to be my personal mentor, he's one of those two that helped to work along with this project.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I look forward to the coming out of the book. We will continue to share it on our platform, and hopefully, once it comes out, we can share the link with people as well to watch it, read it, and do whatever they need to do. But that's awesome, man. I'm so proud. Such a huge initiative. It looks like it's going to be a lengthy book. How long did it take to put all of that together?
So that was in 2018. This friend of mine, his name is Charles Phillips. When I was still president for LISU, I got invited by the Monroe Union ICT, the ICT Youth Parliament in free time to serve as guest speaker. So that time at the U.S. Embassy in Freetown, I spoke on the topic ICT or tools for Africa's development. And some of the key points we talked about within that project, people got inspired from the speech that was delivered. So we got back to our hotel room. This my friend Charles Phillips said, "But why can't you write a book on this?" I said, "No, I'm not thinking of a book now. I'm thinking about having my foundation wherein I can train young people about technology. We can have kids from 5 years, 6 years starts to code. With that, when it gets to 15 years, they'll become a better developer or a better problem solver within our society. I'm not writing the book project now. So here I will have a heated argument about it. I slept on it, pray about it. Next morning I woke up and I'd say, okay, but I'll embark on this journey. So it has been a very long way coming, and I reach out to everybody, people from every sector. So if I notice you from the agricultural sector, I'll reach out to you. So there was this guy they call Jonathan. Jonathan Stewart. He and I we had a couple of projects together. He's from the agricultural sector as well. I reached out to him. I reached out to people from the public procurement sector, people from the educational sector, people from the medical sector. And then I got all of this data. And then before I decided to work on that. So when Charles and I we had an argument this morning, I woke up, no problem. I will try to undertake the project. But mind you, in Liberia, deciding to work on the book, deciding to align the job with yourself, and so the work was very tedious. So for each time when I read one chapter, send to this person, the person peruse it, send to the other person, the person make their own input, and then get it back. So since 2018, we have been working out on it, and by God's grace, we now have it up for printing in Ghana. So by September, we look forward to having it being launched, wherein we will also give our certificate and awards to people that are making significant strides within the transformation of Liberia through technology, because we have to we have to give that prize to them, Prince, to be real, because they
Yes,
deserve it.
for
Because
sure.
mind you, these are people that are actually helping to transform Liberia through technology. So if we can give them their flower now, then it means that we no longer give it to them. So we look forward to September, and rest assured we want to partner with 1847 to have this project launched, and we look forward to having an amazing one.
Awesome, awesome. That's great. So, as far as kind of introducing this into a formal setting, have you guys have talks with the Ministry of Education to maybe include this as an extra required reading materials for students, high school level, or even college?
So I'm having that on play. But most time I'm a writer. I'm normally writing newspaper. So one of my writing to the Ministry of Education was to design a curriculum that will be a requirement for ICT to be introduced in high school, colleges, and university. Because with this, if someone graduates from a university, they will by default have a basic skills within IT. So these are things we have been doing. Of course, yes, of course, we have that on plan to meet up with Mr. Antisoli and his team, and I believe that will be supported because we have someone there that serves as a deputy with a very good IT background, and he to look forward to or like Bureau like can be digitalized.
Yes, that's our theme for this series, a digitalized Liberia, and it's so much necessary. So let's go a little bit, take two steps back. You talked earlier about your time at Blue Crest as an instructor. Now, if I can guess, I don't think you're over 30 years old, so that makes you a very young man. So what was it like being an instructor at Blue Crest at such a young age?
So it was quite amazing, and there are so many young people that I taught there. They most time walk out to me, say you inspire me, I'm inspired, and can you serve as a mentor for me? But mind you, I when I was there lecturing, I know one day try to distinguish a lecturer from a student. We all were friends. I treated you like a friend once you are my student. But when we meet in classroom, we strictly for business. So most time when I go during lunch hour, lunch break, I normally go to the teacher lunch. I go and sit with some of the students, ask them what are you facing challenge you with? Because the IT field is wide. You cannot learn everything. So what do you want
Mhm.
to do? What do you want to specialize in? So afterward, I decided to create a group chat for people who have specific interest in security, who have specific interest in networking. After I've created that, I decided to assign a mentor to them. So if I find out Prince have a strength in security, Prince going to mentor someone that have interest in security. And today we have that moving on. We have young people now that find interest in development, and we have the mentor and working along with that.
Is that
So
under any specific organization, or is this just a personal initiative that you
it
do?
just personally initiated to give back, because mind you, because the requests were many. Most time the person want to learn this, the person want to learn this, and I don't want to make a commitment. End of the day, I can make my commitment. So since I have friends out there, I just link it with a friend as a direct mentor to the person, and then you both can communicate. So mind you, another thing about the IT sector that people don't get it straight up, like IT having a degree and having a skills are two different things. They are two distinct things that people don't understand within the country. So most people just go for a degree. At the end of the day, you notice that they find it difficult to have job, to secure job or international job and whatever. So it was this time when we were with Lisu as president, we decided to build some international connections, and we got in touch with this team from Turkey, the Microtech. Microtech is an international and Africa leading ICT training company. So Microtech, what I did then was to assign the head training director to come to Liberia every April and December to provide an international training and give out certificate. So today we found out most students from Stars College of Science and Technology, students from United Better University, students from Bluecrest University, most of them they have this MTC in it. That's the basic or networking certification. So if you align that with your degree, man, you are good to go. So well, it has been inspiring, and most people always tell me that, oh, you inspire me, and I'm inspired by you, and you just name it. But it's something that we're made for.
What was people's reaction whenever you would tell them I'm an instructor, maybe at the school or outside of the school? What were their reaction? Like, you trying to joke or something? Did they take you seriously from the first time?
No, most people would doubt it. Even my at the time, one of my best friend at the time, when I told him I got an employment with Bluegrass or lecture, he said, "No, not true. It can be." I said, "No, I got an employment. I just received the communication." He said, "No, not as a full fledged lecturer, maybe or an assistant." I said, "No, a lecturer." He said, "No." So when I shared the communication with him, he was excited, though he doubted, and other friends too, they couldn't believe. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, what was your total time at Bluecrest? How long did you instruct?
So at Bluecrest University, because at the time I was working with the internal audit agency. That's the government integrity arm.
Hmm.
So my classes used to be like in the morning hour. I take 1 hour in the morning. Lunch hour, go and take 1 hour. After work, and take 2 hours.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's awesome. So, well, we're about the halfway point in the show. So we're gonna take a break here shortly, but we will keep the audience engaged and bring their comments back up. And then right after that, we'll go on our break. So stand by here. So people are still engaging. Says Ambassador Edmund says congratulations, and then Daniel Abaka watching. Thank you guys for watching. Please don't forget to follow the show at the 1847 show. And then AB Kroman says congratulations, my mentor and leader. And then says I'm watching from my corner leader and teacher. There are some of your students already. You can see the fruits of your labor. And then someone here is following from Lofa County, Thomas Sele. So thank you for joining us. Please don't forget to follow the show. And then also we have Tommy M. Nisegbi. If I said your name wrong, forgive me. Greetings, young leaders. I'm joining from Yekipa, Nimba County. So thank you guys for joining. We are at the halfway point of the show. So please stay tuned and please follow the show if you haven't already. For this and much more and all things Liberian, we'll be right back after this short break.
Hello, my name is Grace Joma Baba, founder of Destiny Creative Organization and owner at Janice's Snacks. You are watching the 1847 show. The 1847 show celebrates you, me, and all things Liberian. Follow the 1847 show on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. The 1847 show, all things Liberian.
We at Peace TV help your loved ones and friends to see features of your programs on all social media platforms. Our services are of good qualities and very affordable. We render the following services: still pictures, video promotion, talk show hosting, live wedding coverage, funeral services, and so much more. So what are you waiting for? Book us today and have a memorable experience.
Welcome back to the 1847 show. I'm your host, Prince Larmin Jarbo, and this is season one, episode seven, which is part of our series called Digitalized Liberia. This series will highlight individuals solving real problems by integrating technological solutions to make Liberia a digitalized nation. Our guest today is no one else but Mr. Willie B. Tingba, who is the CEO and president of Mensah IT Group. Welcome back, Mr. Willie. So before we go into our questions, someone did comment here, and I would like to give them the courtesy. So Joseph said, "Keep it up," and then also we have Tommy said, "Captain Willie mentioned a certificate program with Turkish. Please emphasize on it." So I would like to give you a minute or so to talk about it, and I guess it's a very important program, and he wants you to just emphasize the significance of it. So you can go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so I talked about the micro tech training, and the training is normally held in April and December. So mine is currently in Sierra Leone. uh, you have a project on hand. So hopefully by then December will be resuming the training in Liberia. So once we get started, information will be disseminated across Liberia for students to take advantage of that.
Awesome. So, as you're aware, your resume is quite extensive. You have done a lot, and I'm sure there is more to be done. So, you also work with the Internal Audit Agency. What was your time with the agency like?
So I was there as an IT technician and basically yeah providing any support any user support to employees of the entity and sometimes providing house training for staff of the entity.
Okay. So in our introduction for this series, some of the things that we mentioned, the advantages of digitalizing Liberia was, trying to minimize corruption because with information, with data, people have to be transparent because we have information, we have data to show what's actually how money is being spent, where it's being spent, and so on. So at your time, with your time at the agency, did you experience any sense of how information was handling the government or the data, how they were using data within the agency to help minimize corruption?
Basically, I will not lie to you. I can't speak to that, and my own role and responsibility was to just provide tech support. So the issue of document, I didn't have any connection with that, so I can speak to that. Yeah.
Fair enough, fair enough. But if you could, how do you think information could help, with corruption in Liberia? If you could speak to that just generally.
Yeah. So the issue of digitalizing Liberia, I believe, and with my experience, that can only be done when we have an agency or ministry or commissions that is dedicated exclusively to ICT. Maybe we will have like a ministry of innovation, science, and technology, or a ministry of information and technology. We have three entities that are responsible for IT services across Liberia, like telecommunication services in Liberia. We have the Ministry of Post and Telecommunication. The Ministry of Post and Telecommunication serve as the policy arm of our country IT sector. They make policy for the sector. And then we have the Liberia Telecommunication Authority, LTA. The Liberia Telecommunication Authority is responsible to regulate the policy that is being made by Ministry of Post and Telecommunication. So they are the regulator of the sector. And then we have the Liberia Telecommunication Cooperation. Is now Liberia Telecommunication Mobile, something like that. And they are the national operator for our country IT sector. They are responsible to provide internet services to all government ministry agency and commission, and also sell out internet connectivity to private agency. So all of these three, we have three things in common. We have telecommunication in common. So our core, or my core, is why can't we dissolve the Ministry of Post and Telecommunication and makes the Postal Affairs part as an agency, and then establish a Ministry of Science, Technology, and Innovation. With that, the issue of Liberia being digitalized, it can be achieved. With that, you have agencies that are responsible to, or department that are responsible to make sure every government ministry, agency, and commission have an effective website. We do not
Yes.
have the 98% of ministry in Liberia do not have an effective website. How
Very
can the public
outdated.
how can the public have information? So these are things that we're talking about. The issue of information dissemination across government ministry is very poor. That can only be effective when we have active website for every ministry. So if we have a Ministry of Science and Technology, that can help to connect a farmer with a consumer. We can have a system that will help to eradicate corruptions, where a single channel where every government entity can make report. So I think the only way we can achieve this digital Liberia, we should have an agency that is dedicated to information communication technology. With that, we can make significant progress as a nation through technology.
Yes, I definitely agree. And your business, please correct me if I'm saying it wrong, Mensona Information Technology Solution Group, you guys work with other businesses to help accomplish their mission using technology. So, what are some major projects that your team has been working on that you've partnered with these businesses to bring up and take a real problem that they're experiencing and find a technological solution to?
So there is this team, there's a department on the Liberia Telecommunication Authority. That's the Universal Access Fund department. By the way, I serve as one of the implementing committee member then. That was 2018 in the Universal Access Fund department at the Liberia Telecommunication Authority. Is to their responsibility is to provide internet connectivity to the unserved and unserved environment across Liberia, like the remote places. So we then secure a project with them to design a website for them, and then there is this entity called or bar called or VIP bar. They needed or stock management system wherein they can take charge of all of that drinks, sales being made, profit, and whatever. So we designed that system. We have been designing uh, our last project that we did was that was uh, Google Map mobile app for an entity in America, and we completed sometime 2022, late 2022. So yeah, so these are things that we've been involved with.
So really, it's what you can create is up to the imagination of your client. Is that what you're saying? Whatever they can imagine,
Yes,
you
of
can
course.
bring to life.
Of course, of course. So we once we know we do not have screen within that domain, we collaborate with other because he understands that IT is about collaboration. So we collaborate with us and then have the project implemented. Then we deliver to our client.
Okay. So your business, I'm aware that you guys' mission have a social component to it. So what have you done through that social component obligation to kind of fulfill your CSR, your corporate social responsibility?
I don't get that question, please. What's the question again?
So I understand like as a business, you guys try to give back to the community. You want to be able to, stay
Mhm.
involved, giving back to the community. So what are some projects that you guys have done to help fulfill that corporate social responsibility as an institution?
So what we normally do is to provide training, basic training for people. So last time, one of the project we want to talk that was during the Girls in ICT Day, we organized an intensive hands-on training for female that are intending to have career path or find career path within IT.
Awesome. Are some of those training free of charge?
Yes, free of charge training. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Thank you. So let's talk a little bit about the national ICT policy. Uh, from helping to build technical infrastructure, attracting foreign investment, creating employment opportunities in Liberia, the policy seems to have all the answers to Liberia's technological challenges. What gave birth to this policy?
So the ICT policy was designed in 2018, and the policy lasts for 5 years. So the policy is meant to address issues relating to our country IT sector, and the policy gets expired by this year, 2023. And most of the thing that needs to be achieved, I think the sector is working gradually towards that. But one of the key policy that should be addressed currently that has to do with the cybercrime policy and strategy. Because mind you, you have people that spend longer time in the cloud, longer time on the internet than physically. Liberia is now about to experience election. You understand that there will be a lot of cyberbullying, but we do not have a law that can be used
Hold
to
people
penalize
accountable.
someone who have committed a crime online. But they have this panel law. I think the panel law addresses the issue of the cyber crime, but we need a strategy or cyber security strategy and policy that can be designed. Like what I heard sometime in 2022 or 21, the Ministry of Post and Telecommunication in collaboration with LTA design one submitted to the host for the perusal, and the host haven't passed it up yet. So I think in order to address this issue, we need the policy to be acted upon, and we also need a data protection policy, because the issue of data privacy across Liberia is something that people take very lightly. So these are policies that we need in order to, because we can talk about digitalizing Liberia without having a policy that will guide us while we intend to digitalize Liberia. So this basic policy needs to be addressed in order to move forward.
Yes, because not everyone who in the sector or will come into the sector will have the right mindset to help develop the country. So people will come with different intentions. So we have to have those safeguards in place. Definitely agree. Um, so Romeo Elque, in one of his article on technology's role in Liberia, said that the enactment of government policies, including the establishment of the Ministry of Technology, could aid Liberia in its digital advancement. From your experience, what are other ways you think that Liberia could advance rapidly within the tech industry? From different from like you already mentioned, hey, we need to pretty much put these policies in place to help protect the rights of people. So are there anything else that you think needs to happen, maybe from the part of the government or from the part of the private sector?
So basically, what we need to understand first, we need to know that every nation that have made significant progress has done that through the implementation of technology. We first have to build that in mind, because one that is not being built in mind, then it means that, of course, these things cannot be achieved. And also, we should also understand that uh, the issue of capacity building plays a significant role in achieving this goal. So every other person have to get that basic skills, basic understanding in these things. Yes, the issue of establishing a Ministry of Science and Technology is very key. But when we do not identify the importance of technology, how can that be achieved? So first have to identify the importance of technology before we can have them being achieved.
Understood.
So
Understood.
yeah, so one of the key thing, one of the key thing that needs to be done first has to do with the issue of capacity needs to be built. We should understand that yes, technology is here to stay and we cannot escape from it. Let's get used to it. So when these things are being placed in mind and understood by us, then fine. But one person will say the reason why one person will say people know the importance of technology. Government officials know the importance of technology, but they are probably afraid before they get exposed in what have you. So these are things that one may say. And we
Hmm.
now have this issue of biometric system that is being placed for voter registration. How can we have a biometric when we do not have a policy or strategy that going to gather? So these are things that we need to first put into place, in order to move forward. So policies serve as the fundamental or the foundation in order for us to have a digital Liberia.
For sure. So let's talk a little bit about women in technology. You mentioned it briefly how it was very vital for women involvement in technology. And as we know, personally, I've always tried to keep things generally balanced, right? So with this show, with this series, we've tried to at least have two male and two females. However, it's a challenge finding a female that is in the field that is doing amazing things equivalent to that of her male counterparts. So, what has been your experience with female in the IT sector?
The female fan the sector, especially female in Liberia, because where I'm at currently, we have some tough Turkish females that are involved within the engineering, actually the engineering field. But for Liberia, what I understand is that the young females or the young women in Liberia see IT as a male thing, or they see IT as a field that is very difficult to find a in. But the very few we have into the sector, I can actually boast of them everywhere, and they are very good into the field. Like there are very few I can mention that they have some real good job. Some with Asada Meta, like one Alicia K. Ajed. When I found out the librarian from Beyond Technology Students Union, she was the financial secretary. At times when she graduated from Blue Crest, she secured a job with Asada Meta. We we have some real good females in Liberia that are really good into the field, especially the programming sector.
Awesome. So, personally, do you feel obligated to incentivize or help incentivize women to come into the field?
Yes, so that's it, and I believe that's my responsibility, or that's a responsibility upon every one of us. So, in my book, I talk about the importance of women into IT. What women stands to benefit into the IT sector. Mind you, there are a lot of vacancies out there. You will find out about 50 male applying, and you will not have or more female applying. But or the recruiter will find key interest in that female than the male.
Why is
So
that?
what do they say that?
Why is that? Why are they looking for? Why do they find those interest?
Because they wants to have a gender based environment. So you find more female. Most time when people then send internship requests for us at LESU, they'll find interest in having female than male. So most of the time I read article encouraging girls in IT, and the importance of girls in IT is significant. That's the reason why they have international girls in ICT. So it's something that we need to take part of and shy away from this nursing team in Liberia and see IT as a thing that going to going to make significant progress in to our career.
Now, how does Litsu, keep its membership balance between the male and the female? How do you guys try to keep that balance? Are you out there
So
trying to recruit women just as intently as you're trying to recruit men?
so we in LESU we have the chairperson for women recruitment. We have chapter chairman. The chapter chair is the overhead boss for all of the university that are offering IT. And then we have the chairperson for the women proceedings. So that person, she's responsible for every other females are responsible to recruit females within to the organization, wherein it goes out to high school, especially those in 10th grade, 11th and 12th grade, females, encouraging about the importance of or having career path in IT. What do you stand to benefit when you find a career path in IT? Upon graduation, asking them to have career in IT and know that IT is not just a male thing, but it's something that people can find themselves part of.
Awesome, awesome. So that pretty much concludes our questions here. Just one last one, and so far you've achieved a lot, and I think it's been very evident on the show. And I believe there is still more for you to do. So with how far you've come, how do you define success?
How far I've come, how to our divine success.
Hmm. What is your personal definition of success?
I think success is basically about accomplishing a task. And yes, I believe that just about accomplishing a task. When a task has been accomplished, I see it as a success. Yes.
So, with that, do you consider yourself as a successful person thus far in your life?
The fact that I have made progress, I have made an impact that people are benefiting from. I see myself as a successful person. I do not need to have $1 million, or I do not need to have a rich river before I consider myself a successful person. But the fact that I left or impact or an institution that people continue to benefit from, I see myself as a successful person. The fact that I help a single person capacity being built, the fact that I make impact in someone else's life, I see myself as a successful person, my brother.
Awesome, awesome. And I most certainly agree with you. So, what would you say is your favorite quote, or what inspires you or keeps you going daily?
So my favorite quote has always been, technology is here to stay. Bureau and Liberians should not escape from it. We should get used to it.
Okay, who is that quote by? Is that your own quote?
Yeah, of course. Technology is here to stay. Like Bureau and Liberian cannot escape from it. Let's get used to it.
I like it. I like it. That's
Yeah.
good. Either you get used to it or you'll be forced to get used to it.
Or
Either
you be
way,
forced to use yes, or you leave from.
either way, that's awesome. So that concludes our questions. Now I'll give you the floor to make any last remark, and then once you're done, we'll bring back the chat on the screen again before we close out. So the opportunity is yours. Any last words you want to say to the audience? Any young people watching that are interested in IT, please take the floor.
So thank you very much for having me on the platform. I think if we can have more initiative of this, like this, we will definitely build a conscious or the mind of people in finding career path into IT. I think we if any government is to achieve or is to make significant progress, we should first adopt technology. You see, we break about Rwanda. Rwanda there is making progress through the emergence of technology. We talk about Nigeria that's very close to us. We talk about Ghana that's very close to us. So we first need to see technology as a problem-solving machine. We should see technology as a tool that can eradicate
All right. Looks like his internet is breaking up a little bit. Let's give him a few seconds here. But for those of you watching, I'm gonna go ahead and put your. Oh, he's back. Go ahead. Sorry, there was a little disruption. All right. So for those of you watching, we'll go ahead and put your comments on the screen just one last time before we close out. So we have Thomas here says, following from Rwanda. Thank you for following. Please don't forget to follow the show. And then we have Gab said, keep it up, Captain. And then Trokan says, thanks so much. And then we have Ambassador Nathaniel said, keep up the good work. And then Tommy, thanks, Captain. So a lot of engagement here. Thanks you guys for staying engaged. Again, please don't forget to follow the show. There are more to this series on all things Liberian. So our guest here, his internet has worn out, but since we were pretty much done with the show, we're just going to go ahead and close out for the day. So you've been watching the 1847 show, and I've been your host, Prince Larmin Jarbo, and this was season 1, episode 7, which is part of our series called Digitalized Liberia. This series highlights individuals solving real problems by integrating technological solutions to make Liberia a digitalized nation. To watch previous or upcoming episodes of our show, please don't forget to follow us on our social media channels at the 1847 Show Until next time, stay safe. God bless you, and God bless Mama Liberia.